What is up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Breathe in Air podcast, where everyday action meets extraordinary mindset. Today's guest is an artist, an up-and-coming artist living out in LA right now. He has a great story, and he is currently dropping his new Westside Love project, which is 12 songs in 12 weeks. Love Like This and Too Fast are already out, and Be Here is coming out tonight. This is September 21st, so we'll be dropping in a couple weeks. But Parker Pohill, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, happy to be here, man.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about this Westside Love project that you have going on right now.
Yeah, so this is my first mixtape. I've got an EP out there that came out last October. But yeah, this one's really special to me because I'm producing 11 of the 12 songs. I'm writing on all of them. And it's really the first time that I've put out stuff that I've produced that nobody else really had hands on. So this one's pretty special to me. And we're in week 2 right now. Like you said, tonight, the third one comes out and we're moving, baby.
Yeah. So I find this interesting too, because in the music industry, obviously when you get behind the machine, and are you signed to a label right now, or are you independent?
Yeah, I'm independent.
See, that's awesome. And I feel like artists are even moving towards wanting that freedom that, obviously the machine and the labels obviously can put you in certain positions where you may not be able to reach that, as quick as you could if you signed. But you're starting to see more artists that are like leaning towards that. I mean, you see all this stuff with Kanye recently.
Yeah. So, I mean, the industry's shifting right now for sure. And COVID, I think, has been a big part of that. Like you said, Kanye's eyes have been open recently to kind of what the deal says. With no touring and no shows going on right now, everybody's kind of trying to figure out their way to make money, because people who don't know the industry, if you're a signed artist, you get your bonus when you sign and you give them an album. They'll give you a certain amount of money, but most of their money is made in the touring world. Ticket sales and all that good stuff. So with COVID, man, it's taking a big dip on these artists out here that don't own their music.
Yeah, and that's a weird thing to think about. Like something that is so personal and creative to you, and then it's like you don't necessarily own all the rights to it. So
yeah,
and this is not just in music, in any industry where you are the sole proprietor as far as like it's your creation or it's your product. And if you have 1,000 people that are dedicated to your product, but your audience is maybe 2,000 or 3,000 versus someone who has an audience of like 100 to 200,000 people, and their audience that's actually invested in them is smaller. Sure. So it's almost like, give me 100 people who are like dedicated and like real customers and really into my music or my product versus all this fluff.
Yeah. And being an independent, if you do own your masters, like the masters is like what the label owns of, is what it's the lingo is what we call it, the masters. If you're independent, you own your own masters. So like you said, having 10,000 fans could make you just as much money as an artist that has 2 million fans that only gets a 15% royalty, so.
Right.
So Lord willing, if I'm able to stay on the independent side and everything, it's probably, so far it's what I've liked, but we'll see what the rest of this journey holds,
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And I think that it's obviously there's certain times where signing to a label may be the right move at that time. I think it's sad whenever you hear an artist that's so raw and so real, and then they get behind a label and then their sound really changes, which I understand. Yes, sounds are going to evolve over time, but I hate it when it's like just you see like such a 180 flip after that first album after they sign is just like, who is this guy?
Yeah. And when you see that, it's a lot of people, it turns into being this creative process that builds the fans and gets all the attention. And once you sign that label deal, now it's all business. It's how can we make as much money as possible. And so you usually hear that in the music, like you said, a lot of the time.
Yeah. So you're talking about the masters. As far, what is the master? Like, explain that for people who don't understand. Because I saw that mentioned, but I didn't really even know what that meant either.
Yeah, so the masters of a song is, so say we'll do ballpark numbers. So say you buy a song for 99 cents on iTunes or wherever. 90 roughly 89 to 90 cents of that dollar is the masters.
Okay.
And so that's like the big money. That's where the labels, I mean, it's the big money. And then the other 9 cents goes to iTunes itself and publishing and songwriting, which is, if you like professional songwriters, for example, they sign publishing deals and they might be on an allowance 10 grand a month or 5 grand a month or even more, 100 grand a month. It depends the level. But so they give their publishing away, they keep their songwriting, and then the masters goes to usually the label or whoever's paying them for the record to get made, kind of thing.
Right. So it seems like it's one kind of like a signing bonus, like you said, almost like an athlete signing a contract. You got the signing bonus, and then you have what per album? Is it like a bottom line, or is there, I mean, I'm sure deals vary, but is there like you have this amount of album sales and you get this much commission off of it? Or is it like, boom, you got an album, you get $1 million or whatever it is?
Yeah, so I mean, most deals have like the average deal, if you will, will give like a 15, maybe 17% royalty on top of it. So you do get like a 15% of the masters. But in big picture, 15% of the masters is you're gonna make more off your touring and all that stuff. And like you said, every deal varies. So it kind of, what can you negotiate?
Yeah, for sure.
How good are your lawyers?
Yeah, that's the big thing. So you've had it seems like quite a transformation, quite a journey in this music industry. And like I said, you're just up and coming and there's sky's the limit. So a little bit about your journey into music, how you started, loving it and getting into it.
Yeah, so my uncle, he when I was a kid, I was like 8 or 9 years old. He was in a band, had a little studio in his basement. I mean, we were little kids, so we'd make little jingles, and he kind of introduced me to the creation process, the writing process, and did that for a few years. And then when I got to high school and everything, I turned into the jock. I played football at Furman University for a year, and left because of scholarship, money things, and was going to go play somewhere else. And that turned into me finding music again. I met a friend that was a producer, and this is when I was 19 years old. So met a friend that was a producer. We did a few covers together. I put them on SoundCloud, and I put one original out, and it ended up getting like 100,000 streams. And so I was like, oh, shit, maybe this is maybe this is like something I should think about. And I was kind of in a low spot in life. Like, what should I do? Should I go play football again? And while I was making that decision, my uncle that introduced me to music actually passed away. And so it was kind of this like conclusion of like, I just felt like God was like, yo, like this music thing is what you need to be doing, And at the time I had a couple of friends that were doing really well. I'm close with an artist named Brett Young. He's in country music. And he's a big time. He's got 5 number ones or whatever it is. So he was really encouraging me to get into the music game. So 19 years old, I moved to Nashville. I do an audio engineering course up there. And that was like 4 or 5 years ago now. So I've always been trying to make it out to LA, finally saved enough. And I've been out here for the past year and pursuing the career and gotten to the point where I can, I've been writing all my own stuff since I've been releasing, but in terms of production, this mixtape is the first project I'm putting out where I'm really producing everything, so finally got to the point creatively where, and I think I've got a long way to go. I've only been really, really producing for probably the past year and a half, so a lot of room to grow, but I think I make really good music. I'm looking forward to making great music,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's a process. Like you said, that's something that is just going to continue to grow over time as you keep as you keep playing with the bells and whistles. But
exactly.
I mean, you don't see a lot of artists now who are producing and writing and then sing like the whole thing. Like that is their whole career. Usually there's so many hands dipped into it, which, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. There's really good songwriters out there, really good producers. And,
sure.
But I just think it's so impressive when you see a whole song that's like, I produced this, I wrote it, and I'm singing it. Like that's triple play. So what was the audio engineering course like in Nashville? Like what did they teach you in that?
So they taught me a lot. What I really think that I benefited from it the most was just being comfortable in a studio setting. And really understanding, because I have engineers, like I don't have a passion for engineering as much as I do creating the sounds of the music. So I have an engineer that I work with that does all the little tweaks once I finish it, kind of thing, just to make it sound the same on your earbuds as it would on a big stereo, as it would on studio headphones, you know, just so it sounds the same on all types of speakers.
Right.
But it really made me comfortable in the studio. I got an understanding of just the sonics and the way music and everything kind of works together more. And it was just my first step into really learning about music theory. And the day-to-day, I was spending like 6 hours a day in a studio with like a teacher kind of guy and like a Grammy-winning engineer. And it was me and about 5 other students. And so we just went into the studio. We ended up engineering an EP for this band that was like an Americano band. And so we went through the whole process of bringing them in, learned how to set up all the mics on their different instruments. And then we each got a song pretty much to mix. And so mix and master. And so that was kind of the learning process. It was like a 4 or 5 month course. So it was really exciting, man.
That is cool. That's really cool. And that's practical experience too, which if you're looking for a specific craft, and that's why I feel like I know we're going way off the beaten path here, but when we're talking about college education, broad, and oftentimes people go in not knowing what they want to do really, which college helps sometimes figure those things out. But I think it's so usable and applicable when you have something that's specific like that, where it's like, hey, this is 4, 5, 6 months. It's super applicable to what I want to do. And it's like, I'm learning the process. I'm not learning the history of it. Like, sure, that may be important, but like I'm putting my hands on it. I'm feeling it. Like,
I'm a big advocate for diving into the industry you want outside of the whole college thing. I mean, if you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, there's a handful of things that college can do for you that nothing else can. But I'm a big advocate, and especially anything creative. If you're trying to be a creative, obviously you got to pay the bills. But just through my experience, jumping into a program like that compared to going to a audio engineering degree in college, for example, spending 4 years reading books about how to do it compared to being in the studio doing it. I'm a big advocate for not going to college, if you will.
What was it like when you first got to Nashville? As far as you're 19, you're like diving into this new process, and I mean, what's going through your head at this time?
I mean, at the time, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna put out one more. My next song I put out, I'm gonna be Justin Bieber," you know. But I just kind of ignorant to the whole industry in terms of what it actually takes and what it actually and that there is a business behind it, and there is marketing strategies, and you know, it's a business. And so I was kind of in my own world, being a 19-year-old, jumping into trying to learn as much as I could. I was actually rooming with that same producer that I put those covers out with. And so basically I'd go to this audio engineering course during the day. I'd come back and we'd record a bunch of covers, and I was trying to put as much stuff out as I could at the time. And And it was just like a great learning period for me. I was only in Nashville for about 10, 11 months, but I don't regret any of my time there, and I had a good time, you know?
Yeah. And so Nashville and LA are obviously, for everyone that knows about music, the like music hubs, it seems,
Yeah. Yeah.
for creative. So what's the difference? I mean, obviously, you know, Nashville is a little bit more tailored towards country music and stuff like that, but what's the biggest difference that you've seen from Nashville and your time there and now being in LA for a year?
So Nashville, in terms of making music with people, and I used to collaborate with other writers and producers and artists a lot more than I do now, just because that's just how the turn I took. I started grinding on the production a lot more, and
Yeah.
I, and so it's just what I chose to do. But Nashville is a lot more. Somebody brings a guitar and let's write a song with an acoustic guitar, and everybody's throwing out ideas and let's like create this story. Where LA's more, okay, there's a guy over there producing, there's a guy over there writing, and then there's like a guy that comes up with the melody. It's kind of more individual in LA. Like everybody brings their thing to the right. Where in Nashville, it's more like a collaborative, like, all right, let's talk about every single word. Let's talk about, it's
Yeah.
and again, I've written acoustic songs that were super collaborative in LA also, but overall, every write I've ever had in Nashville has been a like super collab. Everybody's doing everything,
Yeah.
kind of vibe.
Do you like that vibe better than the kind of everyone's their own little boss together?
Um, it's different. It definitely makes different kind of music. So, uh, I don't think I prefer one over the other. But I mean, recently I've enjoyed making everything myself. I've really just wake up every morning and make 2 songs is kind of the way I've been attacking it. So I've kind of fallen in love with that process of it. But definitely on my next project, I'm gonna be intentional about collaborating more with producers and other songwriters and stuff.
What's some things since you've been in LA that, like, it seems like such a vast community of, you know, creators and so many people are hustling, trying to make it during this time. And then obviously COVID is, you know, throw
Yeah.
a crazy wrench in there too. So what's some of the stuff for someone who has no idea? Like, say I walk into LA, I'm like, oh, here we go. I'm trying to do music. You know, I want to start meeting people. Did you
Yeah.
connections coming in, or were you just kind of like, all right, let's just make connections as much as we can?
Yeah. So I mean, LA is pretty simple. It's what do you have to offer? It's kind of it's not as buddy buddy as Nashville is, or
Mhm.
uh everybody that offers to help is expecting something in return, and it's understandable. Like
Mhm.
there's some great people out there. I've been lucky to work with some amazing people. So like I haven't really experienced the bad side of LA, but I've had some friends tell me some stories of getting screwed over,
Yeah.
and like just having faith and believing that the people they were working with were good intentions and stuff. Um,
Yeah.
but I've been blessed so far, and it probably has something to do with the fact that I'm making my own music now and everything. So, um, yeah,
Yeah, for sure. And it's kind of just like a leap of faith. And I've talked to people who have done
for
this.
sure, a leap of faith.
Yeah. We just had Christina Kordnick, who's a dancer out in LA, and she's done, oh goodness, what was one of the last tours she did? I think Gwen Stefani,
Nice.
the music festival. So like she's done some big gigs and stuff, but it was a similar thing. 18 years old, moving out there saying, hey, all my eggs are in one basket. What's
Yeah.
mindset there as, you know, a young kid, and even now you're still young creating this path? It's like all eggs in one basket, let's go. Like, what's your mindset every day, kind of, or what's your mindset along the road that you've been on?
Um, no plan B. Make it work. Grind. Part of that is I didn't put my time into in the past, I got a real estate license and this, that, or the other, just in case, you know. But when I moved out to LA, I made the conscious decision of, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to spend any time doing anything else that's going to take away from that. And so that turned into me becoming a good producer and a better songwriter. So
Yeah.
I like to think it's paid off so far, but go stream my music. We're right in the middle of me finding out.
Yeah. No, go stream him. He's on all platforms. I saw 2019 streams. It was like over what, like almost 3 million.
Yeah, so I think it was like 2.2 million streams last year. And I've only released, like, outside of this mixtape, I only put 2 singles out earlier. So I got a little late start this year, but now we're hitting the gas.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get bump that up this year.
For sure. And seems like with the Westside Love project, that's very much on the way. What have been some of your, or who have been some of your influences kind of along the way? Like, where have you fostered your sound from anybody, or is it kind of a mix? Who are some big influences?
Yeah, so I like this question because I don't think there's like an artist that I try to mimic, or any artist that I like consciously, or like, let's make a song like that or anything like that. I kind of just create. This mixtape is a lot of feel good music and just vibey stuff. So I've just tried to create, but I definitely think I've been influenced just off the music that I listen to. And some of my favorite artists out there are Drake, Big Sean, Chris Brown, Ty Dolla $ign, Bozzy. And so I think they all have an influence. Tory Lanez, even though he's kind of in the doghouse these days. I think so. Like, I don't really like model my music after anybody specifically, but I think just listening to their music and hearing it every day or however often, I think that definitely plays a role on the way I hear music and the way I create it.
Yeah. It's almost a subconscious thing, it seems like.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to make this song that sounds like Chris Brown. It's more like, oh, this melody might be in my head, or me listening to that song like 50 times may have. So
Exactly.
yeah. So I love music. It's like one of my passions for sure. And I wish I had more time to put into it, but I've dabbled in some songwriting and stuff like that. And it seems to me like whenever I've written songs, it's come from certain places where I have so much emotion, then all of a sudden I just put it all on a piece of paper. And sometimes it just flies off. But for me, thinking about that process creatively, the way it works in my brain, to think about it as a full-time artist like yourself, where it's like you're not writing just randomly when these crazy things happen. It's like you're trying to continue to, like you said, produce a lot of music and quality music. So what's kind of your songwriting, I guess your songwriting steps or your process to songwriting? Or is it something that's super creative and it's like a flow? Or is it something that you kind of break down? Does it take a day? Does it take a week? Like how does it work for you?
So, my writing process is, like I said, I try to make as many beats or as many tracks as I can. So I make those pretty much daily. But in terms of the songs themselves, like the written lyrics and the melodies, those don't come as, like, if I sat down and tried to sing a new song every single day, I don't think, I could do it, but I don't think I'd get the best product.
Right.
So, but production wise, I can literally sit down and produce a song every day, and it's almost like a numbers game. Like, how many can I make? Because I know there's going to be some good ones in there. And then I kind of, once I produce songs, morning after, I'll go listen to them, and half the time I'm inspired and start kind of putting melodies, and I might just write a verse, or I might just write a chorus, and then I kind of come back and revisit those and write them as they kind of come to me. So some songs I've taken a month to write, some songs I've written in 20 minutes. It kind of varies, it's all about your energy and how inspired you are in what moments, and what experiences you're going through at the time. I like to write about, I'm not the type of person that only writes about myself. Like, if my friend has a situation going on, I'll like put myself in his shoes and like act like I'm him. Like in the song, I'm talking about myself, but like
Right.
it might not have necessarily been something that I personally went through, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think you have to do that as an artist,
Yeah.
out of your own in life too. You got to get outside of your own like ego, your own way of thinking, like open up your
Sure.
mind a little bit to different ideas and possibilities, or else you'll kind of stay in this singular lane without ever kind of, feeling what the left lane or the right lane feels like sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And there's the whole business side of it also that you've got to think about, like, hey, what do people want to hear? You know, now with TikTok has been a big game changer. It's been blowing up songs. It's been, I mean, it's almost looks like the charts are completely different these days. The Billboard charts or whatever charts. Like if a song blows up on TikTok, chances are it's charting. You know, and so there's this whole game now of, oh, can I make a little, like, now I just need a little 30-second clip in my song that can sound completely different if I want it to,
Yeah.
as long as it works, as long as you can make a little dance to it or whatever. And I haven't really dove into like trying to make a TikTok song yet, but I've got some buddies that are actually pretty big on TikTok, and they're dying for me. They're like, bro, whenever you have, like, we'll blow it up. Whenever you have a TikTok song, let us know.
Yeah.
And I just haven't tried yet, which is a bad excuse, but
Yeah.
I don't, that's not necessarily what I want to do either, you know? So
Yeah. And that's it. There's certain things, and this I think goes to all business. There's certain ways that you can do things that may get results, but it may not be your lane. Like it may not be something that may not be your brand, and that's okay. Not saying that doing a TikTok song cheapens a brand or doing business a certain way cheap.
For sure.
It's more so that person and what their brand is, because some brands maybe don't veer off in that direction. Maybe they want to build it this way as opposed to that way. Like there's what's the saying? There's 10 different ways to skin a cat or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's really preference when it comes to those things. But man, what a machine, what a powerful machine. Just
right?
media in general, but TikTok has been. I mean,
It's going crazy.
Like
going crazy.
Juicy Slide or what? When he made that, I said, I hate this song.
See, that is a perfect example of the biggest artist in the game going, okay,
genius.
There's something going on over here that I need to tap into.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Let me throw this little single out and this mixtape out that like isn't even the album, just to get a little bit of that money over there, you know?
I remember when it came out, and I remember tweeting, I hate this song, but Drake is a business genius for it.
Yep. I saw that. I'm pretty sure I retweeted that of yours.
Like I hate this song, but he is so smart because he was doing exactly that. He was tapping into that market, and it worked geniusly. But
worked.
Yeah. So back kind of to I wanted to ask you this, but we got lost. So it sounds like you listen to, or you create the beat and you hear the instrumental before you write. I feel like in the creative process, that makes a little bit more sense to like be able to hear something on a loop or just be able to hear the beat and the melody before you.
Yeah.
Usually, do you think artists usually do it that way, or is it sometimes flip flop?
I'm sure it varies. I know everybody has their own process, but in the past, like I've got probably 15 voice memos of like songs that I've written, but I have the hardest time creating a track to them. So I don't know why, but just my creative process is I like to have the beat or a track or whatever. So like if I work with a different producer, my first thing is, hey, like put on some beats that you've made and let me hop on the mic and just vibe. And so like I'll just, once I hear one that's inspiring me, I'll say keep that one on, put that one in the session, and I'll just kind of almost freestyle a melody, just go through the song a couple times.
Yeah.
It's pretty much talk gibberish into the mic or sing gibberish into the mic, and then kind of pick and choose which pieces I liked and plug in lyrics. So
yeah, no, that's so cool. I mean, it's just different for everybody. It's just one of those things where everyone's mind works a little bit different when it comes to that process.
For sure. Yeah.
Telling me this a long time ago, but I thought it was an incredible story. It's pretty fascinating. Tell me a little bit about like didn't you have a connection, like a crazy family connection that kind of helped you get going, get on your feet in the industry too?
Yeah, so I touched on this, like Brett Young, the country artist. My dad actually signed him. Uh, might have been 8 years ago, 7 years ago now. And he was out in LA, and my dad was having eye surgery on it's a different story, but he was having eye surgery, and he was he made a good business deal, had a little bit of fun money, and found this guy playing the guitar in the Montage hotel lobby, and approached them and said, hey, what do you need to take your career farther? And they ended up doing a little business. They made an album that's not out, that might be out one day, but it's not out. And they moved him to Nashville, and within the year he signed to a major label, and within 2 years of signing that deal, he had his first album. I think every single he's ever put out has gone number one on radio. So he's I think he's 6 or 7 number ones deep now. So, and he was a big part in encouraging me to, once he heard my covers, he was like, holy shit, bro. Like, if like, I can tell you don't like, cause he was a big bro. He still is, but he's got kids now and stuff. But he was a big brother kind of figure to me. And he was like, hey, I know you're not really doing shit right now, but you need to do this. Like, you're talented. And so that's kind of how it all began. And God's crazy. I would not have, when I was on my 19th birthday, I wouldn't have been told you that I was going to be doing music, you know? And then 6 months into the year, I'm moving to Nashville and fully pursuing it. So
yeah, it's crazy how that works. And for everyone listening, that just goes to show you, like, shoot your shot. Like, if Brett Young wasn't sitting in that lobby playing guitar, what, $5 bills and maybe a few pictures of him playing, like, he wasn't there playing in front of nobody. He was just like saying, here's my talent, like, listen. And it just so happened to land him with someone who believed in him, you know, that had the resources to make his dream come true. Like, it's a crazy thing. And then I'm sure for you too, having a mentor in that business, that's just, I think that's so huge, not just for your business especially, but having a mentor in general, I think is a very undervalued thing for all younger people, or anyone in life, but really anyone that's older than you and has done what you want to do. Yeah. Seek them out, man. Just do it.
Yeah. No, I agree. Having me specifically, having Brett and like watching him go through the process of being a struggling songwriter, trying to be an artist. There was a point where he almost just said, screw it, I'm just going to write songs, because he was a great songwriter. And kind of in that same couple months, he got offered a major deal, and doors opened for him. But I got to, and then once he was signed, he was on tour doing shows for nobody for a long time, just before his music even came out, just to show face. And he did radio tours, and he was on tour buses, and he's like a 6'6" monster. So like, he was sleeping in vans, and like, I'm like 5'9", so it wouldn't be that bad for me, but like, I can't even imagine. I just got to see how hard he had to work to reach what he does. So a lot of people in the industry, maybe not a lot, but there's some people in the industry that don't really know what they're signing up for. And I think I've been blessed enough to see the whole process of what it's going to take. And something I look forward to. I give a lot of credit to being an athlete and the whole hard work mindset. I've always liked to work hard, and I give sports credit for kind of teaching me that. But the music industry is no joke. It's not going up there and just singing a few songs, bro. It's little sleep. Like, parties are fun, but when you got to go to one every night to average or to promote your music, they're not that fun anymore, you know.
When a party turns into a job, you got issues.
Yeah. It's a little different than all the glamour that everybody sees from it.
Right. I recently posted this picture, and I love this representation, but on Instagram, I just put it on the story. It's the iceberg effect, right? And It's like you just see the top of the iceberg and it says success at the top. It says what everybody sees. And then below the water, there's this huge
Exactly right.
iceberg, which is actually how icebergs work. And at the bottom, it's like no sleep, doubt, hard work, like, failure, negative
Yeah.
criticism, like all of these negative things and these trials and tribulations that you have to go through. But no one sees that. No one sees the dirty parts, right? They only see your success. But it's just a part of that climb. That's where
Part of success. Yeah.
you have to find beauty in the journey. You really do.
Yeah. And that's my go-to answer for every time somebody asks me if you had one piece of advice. It's probably on your question sheet because everybody asks it every interview. If you have one piece of advice for somebody that wants to take this career path, what is it? It's always fall in love with the process.
Yeah.
Lord knows it is a process.
Yeah. No, it absolutely is. And the whole Joel Embiid trust the process thing, right? And
Yep.
that's what
Exactly.
those guys, Kobe and these relentless figures, like just listen to him. I saw a video of him the other day. He was on the podium in the finals. They're up 2-0 and he's just up there all stoic, just answering questions. And they're like, Kobe, you just won 2 games. Like, why aren't you happy? Like, what's wrong? He's like, we haven't done shit yet. Like, what are you talking about? This is not over.
It's not over. Yeah.
We still got games to play. Like, that was just that mentality is what you have to have. Even after he won those 2 games, those 2 little wins. And that's, I feel like sometimes where people get lost is, they start feeling a little success. They start feeling a couple of wins, and then they pull back off the accelerator.
Yeah, get a little comfortable.
And that's where people like him and the greats, when they start feeling that little success, they push it even harder. It's like, all right, I'm getting this momentum. Let's go. Let's work harder. Let's keep going. But it's human nature that once you start feeling that, you kind of like, oh, I'm doing something here, right? Like, let me reward myself, or which is all fine and well, but you can't fall to that trap.
Yeah, you can't get caught up in the success in the one little break so much that it takes away from the big picture, what you're building big picture,
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to think of, but the way that our brains are wired, like we are wired for survival. So like things that are comfortable, we're drawn to. We want to sit on the couch and watch Netflix instead of going to the gym. Like we gravitate towards that because it's survival mechanisms in us. Like we're trying to survive, right? So
yeah,
you have to like rewire your thinking, like rewire your brain. Know that that's what your brain wants to do, but that's not what you should do.
Yeah.
Out of 10.
Being able to think long term will take you a lot farther than what's good right here and now.
Yeah. So let's see. Where do we want to go with this? You talked a little bit earlier about the athletic side of things. What position did you play?
I played corner and wide receiver, but in college I played corner.
That boy was fast, huh?
Yeah. I mean, my fastest 40 time was 4.47. But I was always a small dude. But I don't know why, but I always liked defense. If I would have been willing to play wide receiver, I probably could have played at a little bigger school or whatever. But for some reason, I just loved playing defense. I guess I like to hit people more than get hit.
Hey, that's natural. That's a natural thing right there.
Yeah.
So if you spoke a little bit on it as far as like the discipline and the hard work, but through your time, how is that time as an athlete transferred over to your mindset now and how you attack things?
I mean, I think growing up playing sports is a big role in who I am, just because I know what it feels like to build something over time. Coming into high school, I was like, I mean, I only ever got 5'9", 165. So like coming into high school, I was way smaller than that. And so nobody really expected anything, especially on a football field from a guy my size. So it kind of gave me a chip on my shoulder, like, oh, I'm the kind of person that says that if you tell me I can't do something, I'm like, all right, like now I got to go do it, So So I think sports in general just gave me the work ethic and gave me the mindset of, taught me the lesson that just because somebody or everybody thinks you can't do something, like, they don't know what you're capable of, you know?
Right. It's almost that underdog mentality it seems like you've had already.
And I love it. I love it. I'm blessed to have it, and I wouldn't want it any other way.
Yeah, it's using those things as a chip on your shoulder, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I saw LeBron in the press conference when he got 16 of 100 votes for MVP.
Oh, yeah. He was pissed.
All messed up. You just gave this man so much more fire than he already needed.
Literally.
Happened. I was like, it's over. Like,
they were gonna sweep the Nuggets either way too.
oh, did it? It's over. Lakers won. Like
it's over. It's over.
A chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
On his shoulder, and that stuff is good to use. Fear is good to use, like doubt, those things that like naturally come into your head. Like, let doubt push you harder. Don't let it, you got to let it elevate you and not let it drag you down, right? Because it could easily like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna be good at that. Okay, well, how are you gonna eliminate that doubt? You're gonna work harder. Like, you're gonna come into it. You're gonna utilize your resources better. You're afraid of failing. Okay, so is everybody else. How is that fear gonna light a fire under your ass? Like, those emotions that are looked at negatively as positive things. And that's kind of how I started looking at some of these things, because it's natural for all of us to feel that way, but it's about how we use those emotions.
Yeah. You couldn't have said it better. It's easy to be a victim, right? It's a lot easier to say, oh, this is happening to me. Why is this happening to me, than it is to, like you said, flip that switch and be like, oh, okay, that's happening. Like, how can I use that to get a leg up in what I'm trying to do? How can I use that for the better?
Yeah. It's not happening to you. It's happening for you.
Exactly.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Bars.
This bars. We're today. Man, next song title.
Hey.
That. But so you almost caught my question that I like to ask, but not quite. The question I love to ask is, what is your definition of success?
My definition of success, I think it's an evolving thing, but right now I think I see myself as successful because I'm happy. But I also see myself as still trying to become successful because I have music goals, I have financial goals, I have lifestyle goals. And so I think if you're happy, you're successful. But you're also like I don't know if that's true. Like, I don't know.
I'm telling you, this is why I love asking this question, because it was a question I asked myself, and I was like, damn, what is success to me? Like, what? Where are they? Then I started unpacking all of these things. Like, is it material things, or is that just like things that I like see from other people? Or is it like happiness? But yeah, I want happiness, but I also want to be financially stable. I want financial freedom. I want to like 40, 45, right? So it's like, how do I balance all of these different things to find success in my way? So that, I mean, it's something that is evolving. I agree, but it's just a good question to ponder for everyone listening too.
I'll consider myself fully successful when my album just went platinum. I got a kid, and I'm happy. If I've got all three of those things, I'm successful.
There's the three. Y'all heard it here. Parker Pohill, whenever his first album goes platty, you heard it here. We spoke it into existence right here.
Yes, sir.
Parker, we're going to be dropping this in a couple weeks. Like I said, this is the 21st, but your Westside Love project will still be running. So tell everyone that's listening right now, what can they expect, and what can they expect from you as an artist, the music you're putting out, this project that's on the brink.
Yeah, you said it earlier. I'm dropping a song every week. It's a 12-song project, so we're in week 3 right now. For 9 more weeks following this week, I'll be dropping a song every week. And on my YouTube channel, I'm also breaking down how I created the songs. So I'm dropping a video and a song every week, showing how I'm making it, and it's on all the platforms. And next year, I'm starting the top of the year off with another project that I'm in the works of making right now. So lots of music, and a lot of videos also. So lots of content.
Absolutely. So on all social media, social streaming platforms, you can find Parker on social media. You can find
on Instagram at Parker Pohill, Parker Pollhill, and that's the same with my YouTube and Facebook also.
There you go. Y'all heard it here first. He's going platy.
Yes, sir.
Man, Parker, thank you so much for coming on and joining the podcast. For everyone listening, y'all go check out Parker's music and go check out the Westside Love project. As always, if you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend, share it with a music lover, share it with someone who you think can get something out of this. And as always, utilize these things that we talk about. Utilize them. Take one piece of information from me or Parker today and then use it in your everyday life. It's no good if you leave here motivated and then you don't actually do these things. If you enjoyed this episode today, give us a good rating on Apple Podcast. Drop a comment down there. Always appreciate y'all's love. And as always, if you haven't followed us on Instagram, do that at Breathe and Air Podcast on Instagram. So thank y'all and have a kick-ass rest of your week. Appreciate you, Parker.
Yep. Thanks, man.